Hi friends, I am live in the champions page. Holy moly, my heart rate is 120 and I can't wait a second longer. So here we are a minute early and I've been asked to speak on the topic of leadership, and I have to walk across this very humbly because if I was asked to speak on this for even 3 maybe months ago, I'd have been a complete fraud. So with my team watching, I have to take a big deep breath of humble pie before I speak on this topic. So I'm not going to tell you my whole life story or even my whole coaching story, only the relevant parts. But in college, I was the type of girl that got into a group project and wanted to do every piece of it because I didn't trust anyone else to do it. Did anyone else like that? You know, I wouldn't say that I'm type A, but I definitely like to be in control of tasks like that. So I was about 2 months into my coaching journey and I wasn't diamond yet, and I was getting frustrated that my coaches weren't hitting emerald yet. So I found a video on YouTube that was about 6 minutes long, or it wasn't 6 minutes long. It was called How to Go Diamond in 6 Days. And next thing I knew, I got my mom to emerald, helped my mom get to emerald, helped my husband get to emerald, and voila, I was a shiny new diamond, right? And then a little bit later, about a year into my coaching journey, my coach dangled the carrot that she was going to be taking one of her PS coaches to leadership in Vegas because her husband had a scheduling conflict and he wasn't able to go. Well, in order to get that guest ticket as a non-spouse to leadership in Vegas, you had to be a 1-star diamond. So what did I do? I had an awkward conversation with some of the coaches in my husband's downline, and we held for 6 weeks, and next thing you know, I'm on a flight to Vegas for leadership, and then I obviously went to LA for New Leader Conference as well. So in January of 2018, I was, for lack of a better term, a one-man team, right? My husband's my diamond. I was stuck at 1-star, and I know a lot of people in the network and in my, Northeast Mastermind push groups are in that same boat. We get stuck at 1-star because there's only so much we can do. So in January of 2018, I wrote down that I wanted to be premier. I wanted to open up my second business center, and I wanted to help 5 women hit diamond no matter where they fell in my organization. So wouldn't you know it, my first person in my downline to hit diamond was underneath my husband. I actually just saw her. She's on this call, Catherine. So woohoo, we celebrated her. I spoiled her. I loved on her, and it was exciting. But at the end of the day, she wasn't helping me rank advance, and she wasn't getting me premier or elite points, right? So I connected like a boss during my pregnancy. I have a 9-month-old. My first baby, had him at the end of March, obviously, and I have a lot of my team that, are postpartum mamas. They've got their bodies back. We hit Success Club like a boss. Like, we have no problem selling challenge packs, but there's been a disconnect in advancing diamonds and some type of my leadership style, right? So the first 2 years of my business, my leadership style, for lack of a better word, could be described as like, I figured it out, can't you figure it out too? Like, I did it, can't you do it too? You've got the same toolbox that I had. There's nothing special about me, And then I know a lot of people that I talk to lead that way, like, here's the training, welcome email, plug them in, if I didn't hear from them, they didn't hear from me type of thing. Like, let the cream rise to the top of the crop. That was my leadership style. And so October 23rd, I reached out to Mary, who's my corporate rep, and I wanted all of the fine lines and all of the details about the do's and don'ts of getting my mom to diamond. Okay, I was like, I am not dragging these girls anymore. I am not going down without a fight. I want to be 2-star. I want to open up my second business center, all these things. And I was a one-man team still. I was going to fight like hell to get my mom to diamond, and that was going to be it. These people aren't doing their stuff, there's something missing in them, but I'm going to do this, okay? That was October 23rd. We are into the 4th quarter, you guys. So on November 6th, something happened within my team that kind of made me look like a bad leader. And so I wanted to address it to my leadership, my builders, and I made a 3-minute video, and I ended up crying in the video. I was sleep deprived. My son was sick. I had just got done traveling like back to back to back. I was in the Transform 20 test group, so I'm like hangry and tired and just like exhausted, and everything just kind of came boiling up into this moment. And I ended up like kind of apologizing to them, but kind of just telling them that like I'm spread so thin and I'm trying to be everything for everyone. And I just really was kind of like a sob story. And I kind of just expected my team to give me grace and say, we love you, it's fine, we'll get past it. And some of the girls in that group took it as an opportunity to give me feedback and tell me things that they had been wanting to tell me, and maybe even talking amongst themselves about me. And so I made a choice that day. I took a step back from that group thread, and I kind of just let them hash it out amongst themselves. And then later that night, I sat down with my husband and I read every single word that these girls said. And some of it was bogus and name calling. And I think that you have to reach a point in leadership that not everyone's going to like you, right? And so some of those things were bogus and I knew they weren't truths. But then some of the things that were being said were truths. And I had to make a decision that day. Was I going to continue to make excuses about being sleep deprived and spreading myself too thin about stuff that I put on my plate? Or was I going to step up and make a change for the girls on my team that have put their trust in me and invested in us as a team? So that day I decided to make a choice. I reached out to my superstar upline that next couple days and I was like, listen, this is what happened. She's been in this business over 10 years. This has got to have happened to her before. I reached out to my Northeast Push group, my mastermind group, and I kind of gave a synopsis of what happened, and I was asking for personal development books and tips and tricks and kind of like diagnosing where I thought the missing pieces of the puzzles were and trying to get feedback. I downloaded Dare to Lead on Audible, and I haven't listened to it all yet because I am a hot mess express and I try and do too many things at once and put too many things on my plate. I downloaded a servant leadership devotional that was supposed to be like 6 days long, and it took me 6 weeks to finish it, but I finished it this week, and I was like, those are the fine points for my speech this week. So it all worked out in God's timing. And I ended up reaching out to my true leaders and my true builders and telling them, you know what, you guys, I don't want to do this without you. One of my best friends in real life, we didn't meet on social media, we met in real life, has been so close to Diamond so many times, and I reached out to her, and she's a words of affirmation quality time girl. And I was like, I don't want to do this without you. I reached out to another girl that had been Diamond before. She lives in Wilmington, North Carolina, and we were in qualifications during the hurricane hitting Wilmington, and we ended up falling apart. Reached back out to her, and I said, hey, I don't want to do this without you. What fun would it be for me to hit Premier, me to hit 2-3 star, and it be a house of cards, and all be family members, and celebrate myself on the day that we hit Premier. Instead, my team we all got up at 5:30 a.m. the morning that the back office said 3-star, and we popped champagne and energized together on a Zoom chat at 6 a.m. because we did it together. We did it as a team. So I wanted to turn this into a we thing instead of a me thing. And here comes the tangibles. That's the end of my little story spiel. And here comes the tangible takeaways of what I switched in the last couple months to really, truly become a team of more than one, to go out there and help the masses instead of just trying to do it all myself and being in control and, F with you guys if you can't figure it out. I figured it out. Why can't you figure it out? I just must not have the right people on my team. Whatever it is that we tell ourselves as leaders. So here's what I've changed. Here's the tangibles. I have 6 or 7 takeaways for you. So stop waiting for your upline to hand you things, okay? I know a lot of times we hear from coaches, especially in this page and on national wake-up calls, that have no upline support. So they've taught themselves via YouTube, or they've, dove into the champions page because there's a million amazing resources in this page, or they've, taught themselves. I'm the opposite. I have an incredible upline. I am best friends with my sponsor. I am so close with my superstar upline. Like, we really collaborate as a team together. But I had to make a choice this year to stop waiting for them to hand me things. We were in between training systems earlier this year, and instead of waiting for my superstar upline to hand me the new training, I created a training system when I was 2 weeks postpartum. I'm literally holding my 8-pound little nugget in my arms in most of the videos, but I said, I am ready to do this on my own, and a lot of the girls that are builders today went through that training, so it worked. I was in the Transform 20 test group, and my upline asked me to run the info group for our entire huge team of thousands and thousands, right? And I really thought we were going to collaborate on it, but they were super hands-off. And so I was forced into a leadership role of producing a launch group, an info group for Transform 20 that was good enough for the whole entire team to use. And it was so successful. And so I really got to spread my wings as a leader in that. So stop waiting for your upline to hand you things. That's step 1. Number 2, confrontation and awkward conversations. So I mentioned one of the days of the devotional that I did weeks late. It was this week. And the guy writing the story in the devotional brought up the example of, instead of having an awkward conversation with an employee about something that she needed to fix, he just ended up writing her a letter to fire her. And she came back around and she was so angry that he didn't have a heart, he didn't tell her, what she was doing wrong. He took the cowardly way out of firing her. And that day that my team kind of like imploded on itself, I was called a coward. And I knew that I'm the farthest thing from a coward, but it really started to make me question what pieces of me could be seen in that light. And so awkward conversations and confrontation. So I went from kind of judging or snickering or like eking at things that I saw my team post on social media, or if somebody in my downline was doing something that didn't exactly align with what I know works, instead of having a conversation with them, I'd just be like, ugh, I hope they figure that out, or let me post something passively in our team page, and so hopefully they can hear that I'm talking to them, but I'm not actually talking to them. So I went away from that, and I started having those awkward conversations. Hey girl, can I talk to you about something I saw on your social media real quick? Ask them permission, and then give them feedback. They've entrusted in you as their leader to tweak those things in them and tell them when you see that they're doing something wrong. So not necessarily wrong, but if you know a better way than what they're doing, right? So that's one thing. Something else, I learned how to swim by my aunt pushing me in a pool. So as much as we want to like tell our new coaches, like, yeah, you can plug people into my challenge group or my virtual gym, that is creating a crutch for them. So I really truly have that awkward conversation from day one. And I'm like, hey girl, you have one person interested, you're starting your own group. And they're like, excuse me, what? And I'm like, yeah, you need to find your own voice. You're not plugging anyone else into my group. You're welcome to all of the resources here. You're welcome to my daily posts or whatever it is. But you really need to lead your own group. Your people are signing up with you, not me, okay? So I don't really let people that want to be builders or declare that they want to be a builder plug people into my challenge group. I make them start their own on day one. So that's tip 2, confrontation, awkward conversations. Okay. Step 3, I started using audio message more. So as much as I want to be that person that like sits down and has focused business time and tracks on a spreadsheet and uses Asana and Google Streak and all those things, I'm not. I work on the fly. I am a multitasker. It's just my personality. I'm always with people. I just work on the fly. It's just how I am. I've tried to change it, but it's just not me. So I would often find myself like answering my team or my downline's questions on the go, and those short, if someone would ask a dumb question, there's no dumb question, but if you're in a leadership role, there's some dumber questions, okay? So if somebody asked me something that was easily accessible to them or was answered in the training, or, I had the knee-jerk reaction to be like, I already told you that, or you should know that. Instead of answering on the fly, or instead of being snippy or sassy or short, or all these things that my team has called me before, not even kidding, I decided to take a big deep of grace, and I use audio message now for everything. So if somebody asks me a question, I take a big deep breath and I'm like, okay, I'm going to answer this for them so thoroughly that they can write a, dissertation on how to answer this question in the future. So they're learning something and I'm giving them grace and keeping that relationship. So my husband always says the relationship is more important than being right. So even if I want to tell them that they should know the answer or go FAQ or Google that shit or whatever it is, I take a deep breath and I answer the question for them, and I'm building that relationship instead of them, which my team has told me before, I become intimidating and they don't want to ask me questions. Never, ever, ever should we as a leader be intimidating or unapproachable or feel like we're being bothered when our team asks us questions, okay? So that was a huge thing that I had to switch. Again, this is not a topic I could have spoke on a few months ago because I was sassy and snippy and short and figure that shit out by yourself type of leader, okay? So, number 4, I don't do team calls regularly. I sometimes will do a pop-up call. I've been swapping some calls with some friends on this in this page, and some friends I've met throughout the network. We'll do pop-up calls. People don't need more training. What they do need is a sense of community. So I found that I was on my own little secluded island. There's an example that came to mind when I was writing my notes from freshman year of cheer camp. It's freshman year of cheer camp, and the seniors trashed our dorms, like nasty trashed, like shaving cream in our beds, pretzel crumbs, like you can't sleep in that. Well, the seniors took me under their wing that night, and I ended up sleeping in the warm, cozy beds with the seniors, and I never had a friend in my grade in cheerleading ever again. So I was on this secluded island with the popular kids, and I never had a friend in my grade anymore. So that's kind of where I'm at with our team. I've friended so much leadership and upline, and I had this Transform 20 test group, and I was doing these workouts my girls didn't have access to, and I'm going to retreats and, the cruise and all this stuff, that I forgot to be friends with my team. I forgot what it was like to be a newbie and not know anyone in the bigger team, or not know any of the diamonds and stuff like that. So I reached out. This is something that I did not come up with. This is something that I got from my girls, my push group, in my Northeast Mastermind group. We do Saturday sip and sweats now. Every single Saturday, 8:30 a.m., we all get our energized and we get on Zoom and we catch up about husbands and life and breastfeeding and grocery shopping and vacations and holidays and mother-in-laws and all kinds of stuff. We just chat about life for 30 minutes and we work out together at 9 a.m. every Saturday. So that's what I call Saturday sip and sweat. Something else that I started doing is I hate one-on-one coach calls. I am a super extrovert, and I sign up between 10 and 12 coaches a month typically, and one-on-one calls drain me. I never really know what to say on a getting started right call. We just kind of stare at each other like, are you so excited? What are your goals? Like XYZ. Do you have any questions? They don't have any questions. So now we spent all week figuring out a time that we could talk together, but nothing actually was talked about. And I'm like, okay, cool, go plug into the training. So what I've started to do, and this is not something that I came up with my own, something I learned from a sister friend on our team, Christy Marshall, on Tuesdays at 6 a.m., 1 p.m., and 8 p.m., I make myself available. Call it new coach camp, call it team talk, whatever you want to call. That's my time that I'm available for 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, 30 minutes at night, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, you work a full-time job. If you want me, you can find me at those times, okay? So that is something I've done to protect my boundary, but still make myself available for the team. Number 6, making myself available for my downline's downline, okay? So I'm in a place now where some of my team is signing up coaches, but they might just be like a discount or hobby coach. So there's someone that's in my granddaughter or my great-great-great-granddaughter in my downline where they might not have an upline sponsor that's building or plugged into the training or might even be able to answer their questions. So I'm getting to know those people. I'm having to essentially, guys, mentor people that are not earning the elite points. And that's something that as a leader is great for longevity, and we all know that volume is king, and who knows what's gonna happen to that person in between us. I want that person to have a good, what's the word I'm looking for? A good outlook, a good experience about Beachbody as a whole. So I don't want to shoo them off because they don't earn me elite points, or brush them off because, they're not in my direct downline, so I'm not getting, whatever it is. I've really started to build a relationship with my downline's downline. And that's something that we did through 3-star qualification. I got to know my diamonds, emeralds, and my emeralds, people below them. And so let's say one of my diamonds gets pregnant next year and she's super sick and she kind of goes MIA for a little bit. I have a relationship with her emeralds now, so they don't have to go MIA if they're in between us is gone, right? All right, so the last thing I will leave you with, I know my upline is watching this, and she truly is my biggest fan, but her and I tend to have a lot of the same struggles, which in turn makes us have a lot of the same weaknesses, right? And so sometimes we have to get out of the shadow of our upline, even our uplines if they're amazing leaders, right? So I have written down here, stop trying to be something you're not. If something's not working for you, stop doing it. There are a lot of things working for a lot of top coaches that would never work for me, and vice versa, okay? So I want to remind you today, there are a million ways to get to the same end goal. So always keep the same goal, but be flexible with the plan. Take feedback, swallow your pride. If someone in your downline is saying something that offends you or makes you want to put your guard up, make sure there's not a little bit of truth to it, okay? So that is what I have for you today. I will try and scroll a little second or two of these questions or comments. But thank you so much for your time. I was truly humbled to speak on this topic. When corporate asked me, I was like, ooh, I could talk on this, or this. And she was like, I want you to talk on how your leadership style changed. And I was like, ooh, excuse me, what? I don't know if I'm qualified for that. I don't know if my team is going to be talking about me behind my back if I'm saying things. And a couple months ago, that would have been the case. I'd have been a fraud speaking on this topic. But today I can stand here proud knowing that my PS coaches and my downline is on this call cheering me on. So I love you all. Have an amazing holiday. Happy New Year, and let's go kick 2019's butt.